So good to have you back here for game number 2 of Vici Gaming and Top Esports. Rebranded and recharged. That's what I said coming into game number 1. And it feels like that is definitely the case here as we return to the LPL English. My name's Jake Taric, Penko, joined by Barento, Raz Muhammad. And Raz, I think you'll agree in saying that Knight getting MVP game 1 was well deserved.
Yeah, pretty easily. I think Knight played that game fantastically. There was a point where I was concerned. Baron buff goes down, Vici start rolling up mid lane. I was like, oh, there's a chance that Vici Gaming could really nail this one.
Yeah.
And then he comes in a flank and, of course, just takes control of the game. So congratulations to Knight picking up that MVP. Well-deserved and a welcome back to the summer split.
Yeah, big welcome back to Knight. That MVP was fantastic. Also, on top of that as well, seeing Camille in the mid lane for the first time in the LPL, Raz.
Yeah, Camille mid. You're just going to have to get used to it.
Yes.
We saw it in the LEC. We saw it in the LCK. Teams been picking it up. Now, this was a much better performance than Nuke Duck on that one. But, like, it's just from the laning phase points strictly. And also, it's just a better matchup.
Yep. Sylas
really, really finds it difficult in a lot of these bruiser matchups. So whenever he's given something that has that consistent damage, we also saw him picking up the Gragas Undying. So Gragas Undying, Bone Plating, Shield Bash, all of that just makes it harder to ever look for skirmish. And remember, Ravenous Hydra first.
Yes.
Try and get a good trade, buddy. You better get the kill or you better get the hell out of there because you're going to find the next wave going to be very unpleasant.
Knight wasn't the only one engaging those fights. A lot of the time we looked at 369 as the lead example moving into game 1 of, all right, who's going to be starting these fights? The Vladimir went in sometimes a little bit too early, but ultimately it worked out for him.
Yeah, Vladimir recognized his role pretty easily. I think Vladimir coming into this game, like there were times that we were talking about that one key fight. And I think at this point we should just start rolling the footage when it comes to the games themselves because Vladimir played it out well. But Vici Gaming put up a big fight. This is what the composition worked out in. This is what Vici Gaming wanted to accomplish. So being able to get the pick here, and this was just after Vici Gaming lose a key fight, key members. So I was like, okay, this is the composition is supposed to be used for. And then when they were able to get the Mountain Dragon into this, I was like, okay, Vici Gaming's got this game back. In fact, they had the gold lead, and the only concern was just how they were managing the side lanes. But then to your point on how Vladimir was able to be a major thorn to the sides of the key side lane matchup going up against Rumble. Rumble didn't want to ever deal with it. The team fights coming into it. Now, this next one doesn't really help the Vladimir point, unfortunately. Because he comes in and this is a long replay, but he comes in and he ends up dying to start it off. But like the amount of damages he's able to apply in team fights not this really goes to show how strong he was as a champion and as a pick. And remember, there was actually just like so much darting focus. If you're focusing on the Vladimir this is charging right at you, you're going to probably miss the Camille that's coming in from the side. So this composition is super difficult to try and play around if you're Vici Gaming. You know, you're an AD carry that didn't have flash in this fight. Remember, there's also the point that Rumble is also pretty vulnerable as well.
Yep.
And if you're on side lane, and then you have to be constantly worried about the flanks, you're never going to be winning. That's never a winning situation for any of the carries.
And to be fair as well, when we came into spring and we saw the new Top Esports, we said, all right, it's about these individual lanes. And remember further to our point about what LokeN and Ben actually were going to be in summer or what they were at the end of spring. This was the typical Top Esports style of let's put everything into our solo lanes and see what happens.
Yeah, and I think that if we're just trying to give a letter grade to the bottom side of the map, LokeN and Ben, I would give them a B+. I think that if we're just talking about how they're able to play against that side of the match, I think they did well. Obviously, there's that one blotch, that one blemish in the bottom side of the map where Morgana was obviously going out to roam and, you know, levy some assistance to the mid lane.
Dead.
Caitlyn was like, maybe I can cheat some pressure here. They don't know where Morgana is. She didn't walk over a ward. It gets caught out. Dies to that. There's also the replay, the first replay we ended up showing, which was the mid lane 2v2 death. That's another play that I think dings them.
Yep.
So I think they played a good enough game to not be a hindrance. That's a great thing to be able to mention. But certainly a lot of the other members are the reason why they ended up winning.
Because unlike other games, they definitely weren't the weak side of the map for TOP.
Yeah. So I think if we're talking about next game, pretty much the same idea. I don't think there's going to be any changes from TOP's standpoint. They got the composition they wanted. Really, the only thing that'll stop them from getting that comp is Camille ban.
Yep.
Or Sejuani ban. I think the Sejuani ban's a little bit more relevant. Issue with Sejuani is that she's just a great combination with any melee bruiser or assassin type. So Irelia was a good ban, but if you ban Camille and let's say leave the Irelia off to the wayside, then you just pick the Irelia. And the Yasuo is also equally possible. And remember, their picks, they didn't really have that many options. They were banning a lot of the flex picks. So Vici Gaming are not looking too strong right now in the meta because they aren't willing to pick them up.
And now they're going to be on the red side, so this changes completely the dynamic of what Vici Gaming started their game off with, especially when you see Jungler early and you see the Zyra Khan, Silas early and the Zyra Khan being their normal lock-in blue side.
I think this would be a better pick side for them just because they'll have their hands at the Olaf. They will not be the team that looks to ban it out.
True.
Maybe I'm throwing them on the wayside on that one. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think their Olaf pick has been the strongest option for them. I would love for them to be able to utilize, let's say, an Olaf Silas if that one gets open. Olaf Ryze. Ryze is another option that I was surprised that was just open for so long and not really banned away. I think it's still the best flex pick at the moment. The only reason why teams are shying away from it is simply the difficulty of putting it in the top lane. Only really the best teams in the league can utilize a Ryze top to its best effectiveness. It's also a really slow play pick. And then another one is the fact that, you know, there was an actual counter pick for the Ryze. It was the Olaf that ran him down earlier on in this split. So there are some teams that are willing to do it, make that adjustment. And if I remember correctly, it was actually Vici Gaming that did that. So Chelizi was the one that came out with the Olaf top lane, and certainly will have those options versus Ryze.
Yes, had a pretty good game in the top lane as well. That was the first and only so far Olaf top. So playing with somewhat of a flex potential there. Now, Youdang in the past has picked up more champions like the Rek'Sai, which we've seen, and I'm still edging to see that one out because that looked like his best champion through and through.
Well, if we're just talking about the LPL's focus on heavy skirmishing junglers, early game junglers, it is Rek'Sai and Olaf.
Yes.
And those are the two champions I essentially expect to see every game. I don't think they're strong enough to get banned outright, but they're certainly strong to get strong enough to be picked on first rotation. So I expect Youdang to always be an early game bridge for his team. If he decides he's just going to be the scaling type, Skarner, Nocturne, those type of champions, then this team will fail early on. They will find themselves in early deficits. I'm not saying they'll never make that move and try and experiment to be a more late game team because they're still in that developmental period. Of course. But they are far more comfortable with Youdang being the one to have early game presence.
Because the weakest roles for Vici Gaming, if you cast your mind back, while we're on this topic, spring for Vici Gaming, arguably their weakest roles were jungle and mid, and especially the mid lane, which now seems to be shored up by Ian. There's more consistency there, and although maybe not as strong as some of the other mid laners, he has a chance to grow and grow. And
that's the curse of always talking about player strength, right? We're talking about, well, this player is definitely stronger than Jay, and then the real conversation is relatively how strong are they in the league.
Yes.
You're never going to have a positive conversation.
Also true.
I remember way back, I think it was 2016, 2017, around there where Game Talents was in there, and I loved my boy Republic. Republic was a great LeBlanc player for any old LPL fan out there, and I was talking to Frost, and she was like, he is a bad mid laner. I was like, he's great! And then we started having the list, and then we realized that while I said that he was a great mid laner, I still ranked him last among all mid laners.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what the real conversation is, and I think that's the curse that right now Ian is under, where he's a great mid laner, but certainly against all of these matchups, especially today, he's going to suffer.
Well, old MVP player ADD starting to prove himself in BLG. See if Ian can end up doing the same thing here in game number 2, because Top Esports, like I mentioned before, blue side here is the start. They've already banned away the Nico, a must against Chelizi.
If you're wondering why Knight's name is whited out, highlighted even, is the fact that right now he's going through his POV stream. If you want to be able to see it, go on my Twitter feed, because I've actually put out the links there. It's on Doyu. Unless if you can traverse Doyu yourself. So unless if you can do that, then good luck, buddy.
It's easy to go to his Twitter, trust me.
But take a look at that. The Olaf ban immediately. So even my point about Olaf not getting banned, Top Esports recognized that they do not want Youdang on that option.
Further to your point, the Camille is banned away as well. So what did Top Esports go for their first pick, as you mentioned before? The Irelia is open.
Yeah, so that was what I said Vici Gaming should not do. Like, what's the purpose of banning the Camille if the Irelia serves the same purpose with the Sejuani? So very easily Top Esports can go back to that idea. Now, I'd never, I'm like, really? Like, seriously. So I gave so much credit to Vici Gaming's coach Long.
Yes.
And the team. I was like, yeah, this team is a great drafting team. That was the worst decision I've ever seen. And I did that in about 30 seconds of discussion. Unless, big brain, Yeah, of course they're going to lock it in.
All right.
But the only problem for me is, like, what are they going to combine it with? I think Yasuo, Ian's a great Yasuo. I'll put that out there.
Yeah, okay.
He's a fantastic Yasuo
So specifically looking at the 2v2 here.
Yeah, so I would certainly expect it, unless if they want to try and go for basically a late game scaling team that we were referring to, that now that Youdang has kind of focused himself on a jungle pick that has gone for a more late game scaling feel. It looks like they're just going to go straight for Chelizi's Renekton.
Yeah, and now remember, if you're looking at a team like OMG showed with Icon or FPX, this is still technically a flex, but we'll have to wait and see if Vici Gaming have it to that same prowess.
Yeah, so I just expect TES to throw the Irelia in the mid lane, perhaps put the Ryze or maybe even a Kennen in the top side of the map. Jace even, something that just has a range advantage there so they can deal with the Renekton. I doubt that that's going to be a Renekton mid lane. Ian hasn't showed it to me just yet, so that's going to be my question mark. Kennen is obviously the hover now because they want to throw up for the Renekton matchup. So it's kind of fun whenever you see certain teams. Remember, FPX could certainly throw the Renekton on either lane matchup, but Ian's not going to be the type of person to go for it. So already seeing that that's going to be a Ryze mid lane, perhaps, if it gets locked in as it should, and a Renekton top lane. So really easy to nail down. Predictable.
Maybe priority in the bottom lane. Haven't seen Southwind on this yet, and this is going to be his debut Yuumi in the LPL.
Yeah, he's been spamming it in solo queue, so as everyone has been, and trying to get ready for it, knowing how strong it is as a champion. So I would love to see how he's able to utilize it. Now, Yuumi has so many great AD carry options there. So even if they haven't picked their AD carry going into the second phase, Top Esports doesn't really have a lot to just ban away here and say that, oh, now we forced you in a bad matchup. That's just not going to be a thing.
Yeah. I'm also surprised that so far I haven't seen the Ryze ban, but you see the Silas as the first one taken away by Top Esports, and with Lux gone, we start looking at the Nautilus here as a ban away from Ben, or the Morgana.
Yeah, and so at this point for Vici, showcasing that the mid lane is the other option, as we already saw. I still think that Syndra is a great mid lane pick, and that while it's very, very vulnerable to the Irelia option, I think that's just Ian's best champion career-wise. So I enjoy his Syndra pick. I think that's something you can use with this composition, but yeah, already mentioning how difficult it's going to be with Irelia. We'll have to see what the ban ends up being. You can see the reason why they're just taking all that time. 9 seconds left, and they're still trying to figure it out. So yeah, the Ryze ban's going to be the one.
And pretty safe, pretty straightforward here from Top Esports. But now for Vici Gaming, you got an AD carry. You have a mid lane role to fill, or top lane.
Ooh, if they do this, it would flatly be a Renekton mid lane.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. Remember, it's just a hover.
Two teams have already done the Renekton mid. I was surprised when I saw Icon on it, but Ian would be something else.
I would love to see it. Remember, the...
Oh, good,
yeah,
yes.
Pat him on the back, give him that confidence. I love the Jax versus Irelia matchup. It's great to see it, and just lock it in.
Just go for it. Very rare to see the Sona Taric here in the LPL. You notice, if you're watching from overseas and asking why this is never banned, well, here in the LPL, uncommon. So seeing LokeN and ban on it, Raz, I think you mentioned that these will be one of the bottom lanes we might see it on.
Yeah, so I think it was just before the show. I talked about the fact that Top Esports is a team that should just pick up the Sona Taric or Sona Tahm Kench. I think they're a team that, on weak side, really benefit from it. Another team we've seen actually utilize it too is actually Suning. Suning at the beginning of the week, they used the Sona Tahm Kench simply because SMLZ is a very flexible player. And the same goes to more of the slower playstyle that Sword Art wants his team to be able to play. So Top Esports gets the composition they want. And remember, with the Sona Taric, just how much this composition loves to dive.
Yes.
Irelia and Kennen with the Taric ultimate. They want to group up. So Vici Gaming right now really need to nail down that laning phase.
This is as all-in gets here from Top Esports. I love it. The aggression that's going to come through. These team fights look like they're just going to boil on the inside here for Top Esports. But for Vici Gaming, I also love the fact that once again, we're changing things up. Innovative drafts after giving away what we thought was, very dangerous in the Irelia, shapes up quite nicely in the end.
We'll see. Because remember, my whole point about the Irelia pick was that I didn't think the Renekton pick would go mid.
True.
I didn't think, Ian was willing to play it. I was wrong. And what that means now is Renekton has the better matchup versus the Irelia. And now Irelia certainly needs some, help.
Yes.
Some assistance. Control wards, maybe. Ganks, hell yeah. But even past that point, that's a Gragas, so he has to worry about his own matchups. I think Vici Gaming have the better 2v2 through mid lane, and that's something we haven't often seen versus top.
I want to bring your mind back to FPX and JDG, with this mid lane 2v2 with the Renekton versus your gals Irelia, where Tien just sat mid, different pick granted, but it was just so explosive. And for someone on the Renekton, Doom being that case, just absolutely kept him down, dominated him. And the Irelia couldn't get out of lane, the Irelia couldn't roam, so I'm curious how this one goes, because for Vici Gaming, changing into the Renekton mid as the third team in the LPL here to do it, a very unique pocket pick here in this region. Excited to see where this goes as we get onto the Rift for Game 2.
This is going to be important. Level 1s are always something that I love, and the fact that Vici Gaming were able to get an early ward, it seems, on the Raptor camp. This is something I've actually been talking about a little bit. Raptor camp level 1 wards. So just so a concept so people can understand the differences and the changes of Scuttle Crab moving from 2 minutes to 3 minutes and 15, is that Scuttle Crab was actually a great connecting camp. It was a camp where you would go to after the red buff immediately, and just, from that point forward, you can make your decision to continue to farm, to invade, to split up the map, or to gank, right? You had so many things that you can do for, or just kind of go straight through med so you can go to the other Scuttle Crab.
Yeah.
That's changed pretty heavily to now Raptor camp. So my focus now is going to be on Gragas. Gragas, after taking red buff, can go towards his Raptors. He gets seen, and now if he goes back to bot side to get his Krugs, then Sejuani has information of knowing that that's a full clear. He can go for an invade and pick up the enemy blue. Or if he goes top side, then you're like, okay, I know I can match him up top, or I can go through my own full clear pretty easily. And the last option we've been seeing a lot in the LCS actually has just been go to Krugs and then go all the way around the ward to go up to your blue side so you get undetected. But then the enemy team knows that you haven't taken your Raptors and they can go invade and take your Raptors. Overall, it's a win-win-win. The only thing you actually lose is a bit of an experience advantage, because Krugs is just more experienced than the Raptors in your first clear. So that kind of differences are things that it's really fun to have a discussion about. As you can see, I lied about who the POV is going to be. This time around it's going to be Puff.
Yes.
So Puff, the AD carry of Vici Gaming, is going to be who we're looking at, Ezreal, for the stream. If you're on DouYu, please check that out. If you're not, check out my stream. My stream, yes, that's where it is.
Raz, I just want to point out something very important.
What's up?
While we have started this game, of course, Knight and 369 have swapped lanes. Better matchup there for Knight up in the top lane. So 369 has been moved to the mid lane on the Kennen. And technically, first time we're seeing the Kennen in the mid.
That's true. Big fan of that. You should be able to do well in the range matchup. That's all we were kind of looking for 369, was to be able to get the range over Ian. So good invade.
I mean, he'll be able to stop this. XX gets the smite and gets out. Flash is burned, however.
That was actually just the diciest play.
Yes.
It reminds you of watching any 80s Hollywood flick, card chase scenes. They're just right on the brink of things. It's like, I'll just get that last tick, get that last hit, and then I'll flash at the exact time.
Yeah.
So perfect timing. You never want to see your jungler making that risk, but it get it done.
No, you don't. It means that XX will not have flash for the body slam gank, but we go back to the mid lane, and now advantage back to Vici again. Burn flash for 369.
But he didn't die.
He did not.
He didn't die. That's all that matters here. It's the purpose. Needed to flash because that certainly would have been followed up by Youdang's stun. Then the extra damage on top of it. It's a lot that you don't want to deal with Renekton and Sejuani.
Really tracking XX. It was a good scrying bloom to pop out where the Gragas is going to be. More information over the side of Vici Gaming, and a very active early game already.
As they should be. Right now, Vici Gaming have the composition that is fantastic in the early game. The bottom lane's been putting in work, as you would expect. The mid lane is also just, as you could tell, the mid lane jungle is obviously going to win for Ian and Youdang. And the only concern is going to be Chelizi in the matchup, but I mean, that's what you build the matchup for. Counter-Strike is great defensively versus the Irelia, so if she ever wants to jump on you, just start swinging your baseball bat, whatever it is.
Okay. It's a lantern, but yeah, okay.
Baseball bat.
Baseball bat. Close to it. Oh, that's a flash forward. Remember it, but the Kennen doesn't have it. Going in for the kill. Ian has the ignite down. Will he get the kill? No! Turns around for the first part. 369 slices him first.
See, I was a little concerned. You know, he had lethal. He was thinking about it. If I just have 1 second with this Kennen, One auto attack.
That's
Get
it.
the job done. Then you see a Gragas just racing towards you. So great call from an XX to be counter-ganking that one, but that's real ballsy from Ian.
It really is, and you know what? The Kennen already had a lead in lane. Now with that kill, first blood given over. Hextech Revolver nice and early. Vici Gaming's tempo stuttered a little bit here as Ian was at half health and said go.
In there, and he wanted to be able to use his, remember that's actually two Rage procs there because he was able to flash in so he didn't have to use Slice and Dice on Rage. He did to get out though. He found the Gragas and was like, that's a nope real quick.
But the poke proved to be too much there, and 369 kept his teleport while Ian used both summoners in that trade. So while the Kennen lost it early, it seems like it's come back to bite him as Chelizi's going to go for the face check for the ward and now might just die for it. Gets a two-man counter-strike. The Force Duet doesn't connect, so he gets out. So well played from the top laner of Vici.
That was a good gank timing too. So I'm actually looking to place a ward down. Just unfortunate that Knight wasn't able to get that flawless duet, as you mentioned.
Now for Youdang moves back to the mid lane. Gets spotted out by a bit of vision on his way through, but that means 369 has to back away. This massive wave is going to push up, and Ian can start roaming down. Looks like ping's going down to the early Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, if I'm XX, I'm concerned about two things, because he's on the opposite side of the map. The Infernal Dragon's the easiest point of concern, but also your own damn red buff. You have no wards to see if they're coming in, so like you have nothing defensively that calls out where the hell Vici Gaming are. So they're not even close to being able to contest this.
They do know what's going on though, so information still gathered as Infernal goes down. First of the game once again for Vici Gaming. Their objective control has been pretty stellar, or at least dragon control this series.
As you can see on the bottom side of the map, just constant shove. Now, a lot of people despise, myself included, like an Ezreal versus Taric and Sona.
Yep.
Looks like we're seeing an all-in Kennen's coming.
Vanguard's edge, but Knight should be able to get stunned up here at half health. Has the Conquerors procced on down. Here comes Kennen, 369. Hits him with a shuriken, but 369 is unable to follow through. Yeah,
had to blow his flash in the earlier gank, so no way he can follow up there. Great movement from Chelizi, just escaping immediately.
Yep.
Didn't even want to entertain this faction. So talking about the early red buff invade, that was a possibility, and going for it now has the Renekton pushed up. So this is going to Vici Gaming, no doubt.
Yeah,
nothing you can do about this.
No vision here. XX is just giving away the thought. Bit of vision popped on down so that he can make his way out. Red buff taken. Youdang again continues to be a menace.
But this is the thing with Vici Gaming. 2 games in a row, technically 5 now, if we're comparing the last series. Let's see, go for another fight.
Sets up the first blood. He doesn't have that available, but here's the slicing Maelstrom. Good ultimate there from Youdang. Ian's out of mana, but Knight does not have the ultimate available. Body slam in. Misses the explosive cask. Top Esports use a lot to get there.
Yeah, if I'm Vici, I'm pretty happy about that. I'm pretty damn happy. Off that entire thing, the fact that Knight fully committed and the Gragas cask did not hit. It's not even a miss either. That was just a smooth duck and dodge there from, Vici Gaming to be able to move past that. So overall, they know that teleport advantage is there for Chelizi. They can make a play towards the bottom side of the map, knowing that Chelizi can respond.
I think that was just an amazing snipe with the Glacial Prison, but Chelizi now on the top lane, and he's not going to get out a third time, Raz. They delete him before he can play the game. As final chapter in the bottom lane. Great flash here from the bottom lane duo. They true shot barrage to disrupt the Sona, and she is just gone.
That was a great fight. Ooh, so close to be able to get the slow on ban. And they're just chipping down this turret. Southwind and Puff have just been low-key just demolishing this lane.
Yes, they are. Raz at this point about trying to do the math here. Going to do it really quick.
Don't even try.
About
You're bad
30
at
CS. No. 30 CS in the lead here with a combination from the bottom lane.
It's useless to talk about CS.
And they've got
like
turret
you're literally
plating.
looking at LokeN
and they've got turret plating on their side.
We never talk CS with me if we're going with a solo.
All right, I'll remember that for next time. Either way, there's a firm lead. You've got the mana immune, you've got the Sheen in inventory, and feels pretty good for Vici's bottom lane, who already have an Infernal Dragon. Chelizi getting a bit of a taste of the medicine. Again, Vanguard's edge.
So close.
Just off. The third time he's walked away, and Youdang doesn't even have a care about the top lane. He's looking at mid once again as 369 is out of position. Arctic Assault comes through, and Raz, I'm not sure it's going well, because here comes the jungler of XX, who helps the disengage.
I think he's ghosting on one of these streams.
He's watching the point of view.
Definitely watching one of these point of view streams. He's always there at the right time. There's absolutely no other explanation.
He's doing a good job to shadow real this mid lane. This pressure that's being built up by Youdang. because everyone's leaving the top lane right now. Knight is just hammering away at this turret. 30 CS in the lead.
It's kind of rough for Chelizi now. Even with the teleport that Knight had to use to the bottom side of the map, just the individual matchup. I mean, remember, the expectation here was the fact that he would get pushed in, that'd be fine. Any skirmish would be responded with a counter-strike, but a lot of ganks have come through the top side of the map. And it is making it tough for Chelizi, who wants to have these lanes fully pushed out, but doesn't have the vision to be able to do so.
At this point, if you've got yourself an opening in the top lane, maybe Youdang can make his way up, but it doesn't look like you're going to touch it if you with the Sejuani still farming away. My eyes don't deceive me. That is looks like a Runic Echoes and Sejuani. That TV is very far away. Is that a Runic
It's green.
Echoes? It's green.
If you ever say Runic Echoes, I will kill you.
That's why I was questioning it.
Just never, I would first.
Two things. Okay.
I would assume that you're colorblind first before I would assume a Sejuani would go AP.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So you calm down.
Okay, fair enough. No solo queue measures here. Youdang is back in the mid lane, by the way, if you're wondering, while the bottom lane's hammering away. There's a lot going on this map. Got to keep track here of where the junglers are pathing, because right now, as we get to that 11-minute mark, it feels very key to watch that next gank come through and the tempo that changes because of it.
So we've been talking about, Ezreal into Sona to Taric a little bit. And the whole problem that people have with that is, a lot of it, you just look for engages or hard fight to be able to stop them from scaling up. Here comes the fight, though.
The engage comes through first. The Cosmic Radiance from top esports bottom lane is teleport to follow through as well. They negate the 4 members as here's the Kennen right on top of the line of Vici Gaming. A flash burnt by Ian, or rather the Ignite was used there. Flash from Puff to get out.
They can start chipping at this turret, though. At the same time, XX. Ooh, I'm a little bit worried for Chelizi, knowing that this pressure is going to be moving towards the top side, though. It's going to be a trade in pressure.
Happening again. Mountain Dragon being picked up and Predator's being procced. Chelizi needs to get out. He just jumps away, and here comes Rift Herald right next to the turret. That is going to be first turret blood raced for here with bottom lane in the contention.
And they should push for inner turret as well. I don't think they're going to try and also chip at the inner turret, but at least escort the Rift Herald there. At this point in time, great move from XX, because his bottom side of the map has been doing fantastic being able to hold that turret. So now Vici Gaming are trying to scrounge for answers.
I don't think Chelizi can defend this in the 2v1 with Rift Herald punching down. He can't approach this turret wave. He can't even get near it. There we go.
Someone gonna help me?
That's rough. It's not even a Trinity Force for Chelizi. He's straining his back, or rather, he's got some kind of a strain of a different measure.
Well, I mean, he's going straight for his Trinity Force. If you look towards Knight, he's the one who's made it. He's deviated towards the Tiamat, double Doran's Blade. He's the one that actually is at a longer path. So I'm not too concerned for Chelizi. He's just been not getting the gold. Yep. So if you have 0 gold, and just in terms of the CS deficit that he has, and the turret plating deficit, because he's absolutely not nailed a single one, while Knight's been reaping all the rewards, it's sad to say that Knight might end up getting towards the Trinity Force first, when Chelizi was the one rushing it.
Yeah. He's almost 3k gold ahead of the Jax matchup, so it's feeling pretty good. Even the mid lane, 800 gold behind us. 369ers reap the rewards of a kill. And at this point, the only lane that's ahead is the bottom lane of Puff and Southwind again.
So we keep talking, I keep trying to talk about it, but then a fight ends up happening, or something of interest. Whenever we have Ezreal, like any poke situations versus like what is this huge teamfight juggernaut of a composition from top esports, it's just hard to do anything. It really is. There's so much sustain on the side of Sona and Taric, so the Ezreal and Yuumi can't really get too much poke off, and we're just judging them based off of their engage, and they don't have too much. So they're kind of a composition that is really focused on their split push with the Jax. I think they're going to try and go for a 1-4, maybe 1-3-1, but Ian doesn't have a teleport, so he's going to be rotating to the team a little bit more frequently. But then we're having a conversation of, yeah, that's great, but who's your wave clear?
Yep.
They don't have real wave clear. So that's another problem for Vici Gaming that only is amplified by the fact that they're behind.
And it continues to fall behind at this point as well. Their saving grace at the bot side is being swapped around to the mid, and Puff and Southwind are just getting free farm, uncontested with the help of Youdang, shadowing that same lane.
Here's a rant from me, though.
Go for it.
I absolutely despise this Sona skin. Not in terms of like, oh, whether it looks good or not. It's competitively just unfair to play against.
Why is that?
I mean, it is actually really difficult to, if you're trying to throw skill shots at it because of how floaty it is and smaller.
The tail is massive, yeah.
So there's not a, if you're trying to hit it, it's difficult to do so. And it makes the aura seem very large as well. It kind of reminds you of Santa Claus Gragas skin if you're throwing down the barrel. So there's a lot about it that I dislike.
And also the fact that it makes just so much more noise than any of the other Sona skins, especially the music one, like DJ Sona.
I feel like that has nothing to do with
Nah, that's annoying.
In solo queue, sir.
Yes, definitely. I don't know how they feel about it here, but look at this. 3v2 in the middle. 369 walks down, we're like, nah, leave it. We can't get him, and that's exactly right, while Knight just hits away at Youdang. Slowed down with a chilling smite. That might have been for good measure.
Just wanted to run away from the situation. They have no idea where XX was, so I don't think they were too concerned about the 1v2. More concerned about the hell, like, where is the enemy jungle? That's a pure conditioning point, by the way. XX has conditioned the enemy team with how often he's counter-ganked and hovered over the mid lane and always been like high-fiving Youdang. The Youdang just expects him to always be there. Yep. He's omnipresent.
All the damn time. As we get into the mid game, though, the focus for me still, top esports have made it to this point without too much disruption. Game has once again been on the slower side for a team that we expected to have high bloodiness, just like the spring split. Faster games, as we expected, has just been paced out and well conditioned.
And I don't want people to believe that they're worse now because they're not ending the games faster. That doesn't make any sense unless if like they're running with the same compositions and the same meta and all that. But this is a composition that really is far slower. You do need to kind of respect your itemizing points. And right now, that point is, like, Knight getting towards his Trinity Force is certainly something you want. LokeN and Ben being able to hit their item break points. Once the Seraph's Embrace is completed and already moving towards, I would expect to be the Lich Bane. These are all points that you want to be able to see from top esports before they start grouping up.
It just negates the fact that someone like Puffer's final chapter comes in, getting into the middle of this fight. Now look at top esports as they go into Cosmic Ratings, explosive cast. They found the one member who deals so much damage. Have a crescendo dance like you got no pants, and now for Vici Gaming, they're running away like they don't. Youdang has the cat on him, and top esports get exactly what they need.
And this is an awkward situation for Chelizi. It's like, do I help? Do I join the fight? Seems already lost.
He's just trying to push.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's all they can do, and you can already see Youdang trying to prep the wave just in case top esports are trying to push for a mid lane turret.
Vici Gaming won't get the third elemental because of it as well. So good pick here for top esports, and they continue to impress. The coordination in that perfect again from XX, and he gets his big explosive cask of the game.
This is when the tides start to turn. Because even though the goal lead was there for top esports, Vici Gaming were pretty confident in their own way of playing the game.
True.
They got that mid lane turret for free because of the poke that Ezreal and Yuumi have actually been able to apply. And if you ask bottom laners, like just having discussions with support players, they talk about how Ezreal and Yuumi is just so insufferable playing against in the mid game. Just because of how much poke comes through, how easy it is to nail them, how much control you have in the mid lane once you're centered there. But take a look at this. So the fight ends up going through, and of course, Tuck and Southwind are in no man's land, so it's an easy pickup. You're never going to be killing Yuumi, so even if Yuumi's in the area, she's always going to be there, or at least there's always going to be someone there for her to pop onto.
Yeah.
So Vici Gaming are going to have a real tough time in picking up any fight.
We said Southwind and Puff will be inseparable. The Yuumi, of course, you're getting to the point where you've got Archangels already. It should be a redemption, or even maybe, probably not an Ardent Sensor with his composition just yet, but a lot more sustain onto Puff, so if he does get caught out, it's going to be harder to kill him as 369 and XX are going to try and get that pick again. No man's land, no. This time, LokeN's not able to catch up as the Arcane shift over the wall gets Vici out, and top really want to get this going.
You can even see LokeN also picked up a Merc Tread, so really concerned about the Sejuani ultimate. That's really just about the only thing that you'd be in danger of.
Yeah, and the crescendo, I guess. LokeN. Ooh, that is a lot of damage from Puff.
You just said crescendo. I was saying LokeN was the one that, unless if you're talking about Yuumi's.
No, no, you're right.
Layered crescendo.
I just saw that Q and was like, wow, yeah. So you're exactly right, Raz. I do apologize.
We will say that top esports really at this point are going to be focusing on side lane. Specifically, you can see Irelia up top pushing uncontested. She could push up 2 more waves here and then start joining the team for a mid lane venture. So I'm actually worried about Vici Gaming at this point that while they're hitting their item break points, like Muramana and Trinity Force there for Ezreal, Spear of Sojourn there for Renekton, they are at a numbers disadvantage unless if the Jax is unwilling to pick up the top lane wave.
Not at the moment. He's backing away. He's trying to join the team, look for these fights. So it'll be very apparent as Top Esports head towards that top side. There's a Baron sitting there and available with no vision on it. So Top Esports are slowly heading for the invade, for vision, Predator now proc for XX, and this pick to set up the Baron buff looks to be started.
Meanwhile, being body blocked by the Irelia. Like, what's the purpose of using...
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
So maybe it's going to work out anyway. Doesn't matter where Ian is because it looks like he's caught. Oh. Goes golden at the last moment. They get the slow onto XX. Can they burst him down? Good flash away from Ian, but they get Puff and Southwind into the Cosmic Radiance. It's going to hit all 5 members of the Kennen. It's ready to go in. Final chapter doesn't lock down anybody. The barrel roll to get the slow. That misses as well. Prowling projectile, the slow. Max range as Kennen comes in. 369 hits 3. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all you need as a Kennen player. The disengage comes through, and even though no one died, that ulti was beautiful.
And at this point, LokeN is going to be healing them up, getting them prepared for what is going to be a top lane siege. They can't get any kills off of that one, but they were so close on a knife's edge. I was concerned for Vici Gaming there.
Lucky that nobody died, but now the fear of Baron grows. The fear of this topside jungle getting a pick off there continues. Ian survived for a very long time and got his way out, which was clever, but still such a close call.
That was a great stopwatch from Ian. Otherwise, he would have died.
Yeah.
Like, he was already going to get belly bopped. Like, he was super close to the body slam landing. Then the follow-up would have been there with the cast. So the whole purpose was to be able to pick him off. Didn't happen. And the elongated fight, a little bit awkward. Almost challenged Top Esports. They almost lost and would have gotten outplayed by Vici Gaming in that skirmish.
So now, a couple of summoners down to play with. The Renekton flash from Youdang. Some key summoners that need to be up at this point in the game. And Top Esports still looks like this time going towards the bottom side. But Chelizi working on the turret, so more gold for Vici to catch back up.
A point that's not discussed too much, we're just about to see Youdang getting chased off, is that when you're with a Sona Taric lane, or legitimately just a Sona Taric, let's just, a Sona Tom Cantor, any double support bottom side of the map, you get multiple wards at your disposal. And just being able to have mid lane shove into constant threat on these neutral objectives, there's not too much Vici Gaming can do. They just have to assume that the control wards and the trinkets are there. So we'll have to see if they can do anything. Not buying too many control wards right now. You can see that they only have 2 available, one on Yuumi and one on Sejuani. So this is going to be an easy pickup for Top Esports.
Yep. Infernal Dragon as well. So stings a little bit for Vici, but just works so well this competition going forward. And now one thing left on the menu, and that's still that Baron buff that we're edging towards.
LokeN moving back just a little bit, position for Knight to get that movement speed boost. What are you doing over there?
He's going so fast. 369 wants to follow him as well.
And now they can just cut through towards the Baron buff, because the same issue that happened around Dragon certainly exists around Baron. No wards to count for Vici Gaming. And they're not willing to go back either. Renekton and Ezreal just lack wards.
Having said that, look at the positioning of Vici Gaming. If they're able to stay, if Ian stays here, there's a perfect flank that hasn't been spotted, but Top Esports haven't started it. Ian's backing anyway, so good news, I guess. They want the mid lane turret first.
How are you going to be permanently positioned in the mid lane and not have wards? Like, all this poke seems great, but LokeN's going to be able to heal that up. He's at full mana at this stage, so they're not a team that can actually rush Baron fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Vici Gaming understands that and are willing to play that game. So here's the game I love, which is split push Chelizi versus the Baron buff pressure of Top Esports.
They're just taking the risk. Know that it hasn't been started, or most likely Chelizi gets a free turret yet again. Silently, this Jax is back in the game, and he's going to be a very real threat. Close to that 2 item.
This is always going to be his position. Always on side lane, picking up and accruing the big wave. So 211 CS at this stage is great for him. Spear is Sojourn. Already got that one. Yep. Feels like she just one-shot the item. So he's in a great position, even if he has to get pulled for fights. As there we have it.
The rest of the map is fighting though. Raz prowling projectile to get the disengage. Puff had to flash in that, so another summoner down for Vici.
The movement speed boost and the heal that Southwind will be providing the Puff is going to help. So That's a flash from Puff, but should be just fine because he's in Ezreal.
Yep. For top esports, the game continues to be slow. Vici gaming up towards that Baron AE series. So we doing this again? Let's just get it started. They caught one of the backs there from top esports. And now it begins. They've got another Mountain Dragon again, but can top get there in time?
Taric and Gragas are back at base. This is going to be an easy one unless if top esports force to fight.
3 versus 5. They get the Baron. It looks like they're out. This time they're not going to be caught with their pants down. And Vici gaming equal out the gold with it.
They keep doing it. They're always put in a tough position, and they find themselves back in the game, or at least in a solidifying position just based off these Baron runs.
Yeah.
You think that top esports, with how many wards they had available to them, would have a sneaky ward to be able to, catch that from happening, but not possible.
So now Vici gaming with 5 members on Baron. You have a Jax in the side lane. You got a Renekton who is almost towards that second item. Ping's going out towards that top side. It looks like they're going to split the map.
They really should. Do not group with your Baron versus top esports. You can already see what 369 is trying to do. And on top of that, you have a literal Sona Taric group of 5 composition. Grouping with that would be suicidal.
Yeah.
So this is the best call for Vici gaming.
So Ezreal left mid to wave clear. They're not pushing out any further than that, even backing away. Looks like a Luden's Echo third will be picked up here before anything else. For Puff, a bit more of that AP damage well needed on the comp.
That's been the go-to one. You just get so much damage off your Q procs, especially if you've thrown on the W as well.
Yep.
So if you're able to get that, you can see how much damage it is able to do. At this point, I think it one-shots LokeN. And also, you already saw how much damage he was doing to the backline with his ultimate, only going to be amplified.
You said that Vici gaming definitely didn't want to fight. Well, that's a great flash there from Puff, or rather the arcane shift to get out of it. Vici going to turn the fight anyway. The full 5 on 5. Let's just do it, they say, is in. Walks into the middle with the Dominus proc. They get a bit of damage off before the Consecrating comes out, but there's the ultimate from the Irelia. Chelizi's found LokeN into the side. Chelizi is still alive. Vici gaming take the team fighting team on. Come at me, they roar, with a triple kill going to Jax.
They just slammed top esports. Chelizi was well protected, and the Jax went wild.
That was insanity.
They're doing this really quickly, by the way. They have a huge wave, too. Are they going to end it?
15 seconds on the Sona. 23-18. I'm looking at
They're
long
going
net
for it.
timers with Baron buff. They want to do this to take on a team like that. A big team fight. Vici gaming have got gumption. They've got the guts. And taking us to Game 3 once again. It's tradition here as that Vici gaming want to go the distance.
What a game-deciding fight that was. That's when you just take a look at the damage Ezreal had. Raw DPS. When it's able to nail down 369. If we're able to, and I know we're going to be hitting back at that replay. Didn't have a chance to do it there because the game just ended. But 369 got demolished by that Luden's Echo proc. So it's great to be able to always make a mention of that. And he was well protected too. So that was a fight you just did not expect to see.
There's the dip. There's the cliff. And that was when Vici gaming just took over. Puff. Wow. The only person. What? Yeah, right. Okay. I don't know how to explain that, Raz, but that's about 15k more damage than anyone else.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, that's one of those moments where you try and stack up all the nice graphs there to see if they do as much damage as Puff combined, and I think that's the real problem. So, that's a big no for me. They don't. Ian obviously had some struggles early on, and his issue was just, at that point, he recognized he needed to be a frontline, and if we had a damage-taking graph, that definitely changes everything.
Yeah.
With Renekton essentially being that frontline for his squad, and he was successful in that one. Top esports threw this game away. That's the story behind this one. The fact that the Baron buff was unwarded completely after we talked about it pretty heavily that their comp is able to just litter wards around the pit.
Yeah.
Not even just in the most open areas, but like, just the one right to the left of the pit where, it's largely uncontrolled warded and you can't red trinket the area. I mean, you can, but people generally don't check to find out. They had no idea that it was happening. And once again, Vici gaming claim Baron, take the team fight, and they win the series.
I tell you what, with Vici gaming though, I looked at Chelizi in that last fight, and I looked at that Spear Shojin Jax that came in 2 items strong, and he just pummeled the backline.
Yes, and it's the Counter-Strike too. That's at that point, you don't know the cooldown of this champion.
You do not.
You think you had a pretty good idea if you're an AD carry and you're going up against the Jax, but if he's able to get those auto attacks off and reset cooldown in his Counter-Strike, even 2 Counter-Strikes in one team fight for me is too much. And so that's when I know we'll roll back on it, but that's the kind of team fight that you get that is super demoralizing for the side of TOP.
Yeah.
That really had what was a better team fight composition, but obviously it comes down to execution and the Nico. I always say Nico, but I mean
Yuumi.
the Yuumi.
Yep.
The Yuumi ultimate, being able to nail down forward people. A great aura of safety there for the Ezreal, and so the constant heal. I think she got 2 heals there for the AD carry too, so he was always in a great position. There we go. That does it. Like
10k
that was
damage.
perfect.
10k damage on the Yuumi as well. You know there was some early game stuff happening in that bottom lane. Good to see Puff and Southwind in the element, but this game it was good to see it connected with the rest of Vici Gaming.
Yeah, 1000%. Chelizi can help. Like that was the big difference from game 1 to game 2 is Chelizi was there.
Yeah.
And in that team fight, he made his presence felt. So with all the problems and issues the last composition really had for him, not being able to, be free to get the hell out of the, Dodge and be able to join his team, this time around it was completely resolved. Now, I still had this game for Top Esports pretty handily, but obviously you have to always be disciplined and keep your ears perked. These teams will go for Baron buff, and these teams will, if they find those pick opportunities through mid lane, they're all grouping for it. So, if you make that one key mistake, that loses you the game. That Baron buff cannon creeps with them.
Can't afford to relax to Vici Gaming. No one can, because yet again, we're on towards another game 3 for Vici Gaming against Top Esports. We're going to have a short break when we return. Let's see what happens here, because it could go anyway.
知道这边没野呢，这边还敢压吗？安吉大概知道扛地应该是上完3组野吧。如果有2就把这直接开了。小明这个位置感觉很艰难，闪现够漂亮。这波直接瞄准悠哉，
牛子猴的这个 W 技能。
那悠哉这一波的话是不交任何技能，
对，没有问题。马拉夫现在的节奏非常的好。
哦，罗德玛直接回家了，出了一个萃取，闪现来秒了，小虎。
最理想的就是把中1塔推掉吧。最理想把中1塔推掉，中2塔感觉很难，有点难推啊。
中1塔是必然要拿的，这中1塔在
这里大舅子被打出刀背后，
打出漫天飞雨，然后布隆 Missing 给到一个大招，防守的看起来还不错，但是刀妹从后面第2段的进场，还是把 Mystic 给切倒了。那就是我们刚才说的，如果你在防守外塔的过程中牺牲掉了太多人头的话，就有可能被第1波大龙 buff 上高呀。
谢人手里没有闪现的，走不太掉。再打这场反打，
塔下的一个反打，但是肉不住呀，3个人的围殴伤害够了，
感觉到这很危险。移动一下卡莎这边，没有闪现被反杀了，哇！
好紧
3春哥，现在老人家3春哥，
他们就一直5个人保。
哎，这波阿拉夫打招站出来，那太巧了，
太脆了吧！这小虎跟优大叔叔有点
反手攻过来，这波是不是
这边交着水银，这边一口大招进来了，大招还可以，但是小命已经被秒了。小命这波大招也开了，
你看到没有？鳄鱼进不去了，鳄鱼完全进不去。
大招给到卡萨，这一波的话已经要溃败了感觉。现在的话，老王家可以甚至通过这一波直接把基地推掉。